Cassie, let me bring you in here. Let's talk about the math McCarthy needs in order to win this election.
So we've all been focused on this 218 number, but I do want to point out that McCarthy can become Speaker with less. We saw Nancy Pelosi elected in 2018 with 216 votes, and that was the same case with John Boehner in 2015.
Is this dash at McCarthy's hopes of becoming Speaker?
Well, McCarthy has said time and again that he is willing to take this to the floor, that he is not giving up. If you look historically back when he was trying to become Speaker the first time, he's already had to take his name out of the hat once. He's not going to let the House Freedom Caucus steal it from him again. I mean, there was symbolism in the fact that Jim Jordan of Ohio, the original founder of the Freedom Caucus, he gave the nominating speech in this second round of voting. And even though the 19 other people voted for Jordan, Jordan's telling reporters on Capitol Hill that he had actually asked Gaetz not to nominate him for Speaker of the House. But I also want to be very clear, right now all of these members on the floor are Congress members elect. There technically is no 117th Congress. They've already been adjourned. Now this is the 118th Congress. They can't do any sort of official business really until they have a Speaker to lead them on the House floors.
Cassie, you cover California, Kevin McCarthy's home states, and he said he is not backing down. Any chance that could happen? I mean, the numbers are not changing for him from the 4th and the 5th round.
The numbers aren't changing, but Kevin McCarthy is determined now more than ever to get that Speaker's gavel. I mean, this is something that he has wanted for a very long time. He's been in Congress since 2007. He's been in leadership for over a decade. I mean, if you look at 2015, he tried to become Speaker of the House, and the House Freedom Caucus hijacked his chances, saying we will not support a Speaker McCarthy, and he essentially had to pull his name out of the hat, and then Paul Ryan became Speaker. So he really sees this as his opportunity for redemption, and he does not want to be slighted for a second time. So he's going to continue to wear down these Republicans, or at least try to, and go ballot after ballot to try and either earn some of these no votes or get them to vote present, which would lower the threshold he needs to get a majority vote. I've been texting with some staffers, and it's unclear whether they will be adjourning to meet and then come back to the floor tonight to continue voting, or if this is a potential adjournment to come back tomorrow. So there's still a lot up in the air, not just for all of us at home watching, but even for the staffers. They don't know what's going to happen next.
His narrative and the results of these votes are really not adding up at this point. What more can he offer up? What can he do at this point?
Well, what needs to happen is he needs to get some of these people that he's conversing with to vote in favor of him or vote president and continue to drop that threshold. But they have to be careful here because they have to make sure that Kevin McCarthy still gets more votes than Hakeem Jeffries, which so far he hasn't been able to do on any of these ballots. Ken Buck from Colorado, he has spoken out against McCarthy and said that if they don't get someone on these ballots soon that are starting to get a consensus candidate, that he would consider nominating someone else. So this is really the first shift away from McCarthy that we have seen, and it could signal more trouble. Experts I've spoken with said the longer this goes, the more worrisome it could be for Kevin McCarthy, because it seems like there's no real strategy here, right? He's been meeting with them behind closed doors on and off all day, as well as yesterday. He has a carrot and a stick to work with as a leader, and it seems like neither one are working in this situation.
Cassie, we will start with you. 2 words, I think, on the minds of many, many people. What happened?
Well, I mean, this is an embarrassment for Kevin McCarthy. There's no mincing words here. He was absolutely confident on his way to the House floor tonight that he had the votes, and it looked like it could swing that way. We saw Boebert early on vote present, lowering that threshold, but then those other holdouts voted against him again. It came down to Matt Gaetz of Florida, who voted present, and then he didn't have the votes at the end. How do you go into a vote like that, calling 2 members back to be on the House floor tonight to cast their ballot for you and not have the votes? His family is up in the gallery. This is an absolute embarrassment for him and for his whipping team. We're hearing a lot of frustration from Republicans who aren't able to go home to be with their families this weekend, who want to serve their constituents. This is a big holdup, so they're trying to move this ball along. They played their part in it, but ultimately it was McCarthy's whip team that failed him because he didn't have the votes. He needed to move one of those other 4 who named another candidate. And that's a huge failure and could really signal some problems for McCarthy if he's able to get the gavel in the next 2 years, because they are dealing with a very slim majority to govern with. And when it comes to passing critical bills like the debt limit, they're going to need these votes, and they need to know they have them before they go to the floor. They were voting to adjourn. Republicans seemed to want to adjourn to kind of regroup and figure out how to deal with this. On Monday, Democrats were saying no. Then Republicans started changing their votes, saying that we have a deal, that we can get this done tonight. So then they all reversed their votes. And now here we are after a 15th ballot. McCarthy is now Speaker of the House. Absolutely chaotic. It turned out exactly the way McCarthy wanted to, except perhaps this wasn't the pathway he saw to getting there. His priority was to become Speaker of the House. And he's been telling reporters all along, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And sure, this was a very ugly fight for Kevin McCarthy. It could signal problems for him down the road in governing with this faction of far-right members of his party going against the grain. But in reality, he's walking away with the Speaker's gavel, and that was his goal all along.